Can Bordeaux adapt to changing wine tastes without losing its identity? Bordeaux is pulling up thousands of hectares of vines because of overproduction. How does Mouton Cadet's model offer a way out for some wine growers? And how are modern Bordeaux producers like Mouton Cadet creating wines with more energy, smoothness, and drinkability for today's consumers? In today's episode, you'll hear the stories and tips that answer those questions in part 2 of our chat with Véronique Hombroekx, the managing director for the Mouton Cadet brand, and Jérôme Aguirre, director of Mouton Cadet Wines, about their Fair for Life program. If you didn't catch part 1 of our conversation, no problem. You can still listen to this episode, but then when you finish, go back and have a listen. By the end of our conversation, you'll also discover why Canada became one of the first markets for Mouton Cadet's Fair for Life launch, what the success of Fair for Life wines in Canada reveals about today's wine consumers, why Veronique sees consumer support as a direct investment in the future of wine growers, how Mouton Cadet is helping consumers understand what the Fair for Life certification means, how consumer confusion between Fair for Life and fair trade can be viewed as an opportunity, and why maintaining 30% organic vineyards is more realistic than pursuing organic conversion at any cost. Do you have a thirst to learn about wine? Do you love stories about wonderfully obsessive people, hauntingly beautiful places, and amusingly awkward social situations? Well, that's the blend here on the Unreserved Wine Talk podcast. I'm your host, Natalie McLean, and each week I share with you unfiltered conversations with celebrities in the wine world, as well as confessions from my own tipsy journey as I write my 3rd book on this subject. I'm so glad you're here. Now pass me that bottle, please, and let's get started. For your food and drink calendar this week, July 1st is a packed one. Canada Day, Creative Ice Cream Flavor Day, International Fruit Day, and National Madeira Day. Ice cream is technically a frozen emulsion, and a splash of alcohol lowers its freezing point for a noticeably softer scoop. So blend up a whiskey and roasted pecan milkshake, or pour a chocolate stout over vanilla ice cream for an adult float. For the Madeira side of things, pour it chilled on its own, mix a Madeira and tonic, or use a splash in a mushroom sauce for a savory nod to the holiday. For Canada Day, raise a glass of Canadian wine, spirits, beer, or cider. July 2nd is National Anisette Day. Anisette gets its black licorice flavor from the anise seed, prized in ancient Rome for its digestive properties. Sip it neat as a traditional after-dinner digestif. Stir a splash into your morning espresso for a cafe corretto, or build an anisette espresso over ice. Pour a light spritz or set out a small glass with almond biscotti. July 3rd combines Eat Your Beans Day, toot toot, National Chocolate Wafer Day, and National Caesar Salad Day. Coffee beans aren't legumes. They're the roasted pits of a cherry-like fruit. Shake up an espresso martini, pour dark coffee liqueur over gelato, set out white bean dip with a pale ale, or pair a bean salad with a dry rosé. July 4th brings National Barbecue Spare Ribs Day and July 4th celebrations in the U.S. The tradition of pairing smoky barbecue with cold drinks goes back centuries to community pig roasts in the American South. Pour a smoky mezcal margarita with sticky ribs, crack open a cold lager at the grill, pour a whiskey highball, or build a Caesar cocktail with extra horseradish on the side. July 5th is National Apple Turnover Day. Farmers have fermented apples into hard cider since at least 55 BC, when arriving Romans discovered the practice already underway in England. Sip a bone-dry sparkling cider with a warm, buttery turnover. Mix a rum and hot apple cider toddy if the evening turns cool. Pour Calvados and soda, or open a late-harvest Riesling. July 6th is National Fried Chicken Day. Sparkling wine's natural acidity and effervescence cut straight through the rich saltiness of fried food. Pop a bottle of crisp champagne with a bucket of extra crispy chicken. Sip a tart cherry sour beer between bites, pour an off-dry Riesling, a Pilsner, or a dry cider. July 7th closes the week with 4 occasions: World Chocolate Day, National Dive Bar Day, Chocolate Day, and National Strawberry Sundae Day. The Mayans, the ancient Mexican civilization that spanned 3,500 years, valued chocolate so highly that they used the cacao beans as currency while also brewing them into spiced ceremonial drinks. Savor an imperial chocolate stout, shake a dessert martini with premium vodka and dark cacao liqueur, or pour a sparkling rosé alongside fresh strawberries. And for your weird but wonderful scientific fact this week, the color compounds in wine called anthocyanins are the exact same family of pigments that turn leaves red and orange in the fall, which means that gorgeous autumn hillside and that glass of Cabernet in your hand are running on the same basic chemistry. Grapes just hold on to their branches longer. Okay, on with the show. So what's the projected fund size for 2025, the development fund size, once the 2023 vintage ships to France and Canada? Do you have any predictions of what it'll be?
The fund reached around 260,000 euro.
Wow.
Thanks to the consumers. And it's good because we can invest more for many different projects. And this is good because we can see the interest out of the consumers from our farmers who are working with this Fair for Life. And I think this is good in the good way. This trajectory is really unique, as explained Veronique, in Bordeaux. And I think it's a good way, in this optimist way for the future.
Absolutely. That sounds marvelous that it's going to grow to 260,000. No doubt also helped by the fact that you are the number one premium selling wine from France. Certainly in our market, you really win the categories. But that's great that it all works together like that. Veronique, why did Canada make the short list, alongside France, of course, for the Fair for Life launch? Why did you want to launch here?
So, first of all, there is a great history between Canada and Mouton Cadet, because we started in Quebec, Quebec in 1954.
Wow.
And in Ontario in 1962. So quite a long time ago. This is already a good reason why. But also, I think we discover that it's a market that is very sensitive to sustainability and very receptive to credible initiatives. And we did also some research, and 1 consumer over 3 are willing to pay for wines that have certification. So there is a kind of sensitivity from a consumer point of view to how the wine is bottled. It's not only having a good wine. Of course, you need to have quality, as I said, is just the first step. But then if you can offer something more, and if your consumer is willing to pay for it, because then they feel part of the story.
Absolutely. And so when did it officially launch in Canada? We've got the bottle here. I see the Fair for Life. So how long has this been in the market now?
I think it was December 24. I need to go back on my memory on this one. I think it was December.
Yeah, it was a vintage 22, December 24, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So it's been a nice...
vintage 22. This is for sure.
And right,
if
on the
I
bottle.
remember well, that was December 24.
Okay, great. So it's been here a little bit, but not long. So Veronique, by December 31st, 2024, 1.5 million bottles had sold with the Fair for Life, with 20% of them in Canada, which is phenomenal. What does that 20% tell you about Canadian consumers? You've mentioned some interesting statistics. 1 in 3 really cares about the sustainability message and is willing to pay for it. Is there anything else that comes to mind, other than we have good taste, of course?
No, and this is, as I said, this is the first step. This is the price to pay. If you don't have quality, I think you can have all the label you want, but if quality is not there, then they will not buy again. So this is the first way to address your consumer needs. But I think it just confirms that the approach resonates with Canadian consumers. And probably that, as I said, it it is creating a difference for Mouton Cadet, but it is also taking the consumer into a longer journey. And I think they feel part of the project. And this is what I like.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Veronique, are you concerned that consumers see the Fair for Life logo on the bottle and assume it's the exact same as fair trade?
Yes. There is sometimes an initial confusion with fair trade, but for us, it's a real opportunity rather than a concern.
Okay.
Because Fair for Life is specifically designed for a sector like wine, and it goes beyond a simple label. It covers the entire value chain from the vineyards to the consumer. But we also have a responsibility to educate consumers. So we must explain it clearly. And once they understand it, I think they appreciate the depth and the credibility of the approach even more and feel, as I said, like part of the story.
That's great. And how are you educating Canadian shoppers on what the orange logo actually stands for? So that's on the back of the bottle, but we'll include in the show notes the bottle front and back for those who are listening to us.
So I think we have been taken a very pragmatic approach. First, the label itself is key. It is visible. It creates a kind of curiosity, but it is really just the starting point. We need to communicate, to educate with clear, simple messaging in store. Through the QR code on the back label of Mouton Cadet Rouge, you have a QR code. If you go through this QR code, you scan it, and then you've been redirected to a beautiful video, small movie that explains you what Fair for Life is all about. But what we did as well, and that was especially last year, and we will redo it this year, we had dedicated social media campaign focused on this Fair for Life label. What we did last year in Canada, we reached around 3 million people. And this is a good way as well to explain what Fair for Life is all about. And we will redo this campaign again this year. But we also need to convince journalists, opinion leaders like you, that Fair for Life is not just a gimmick, but a meaningful commitment.
Yes, it's not greenwashing or just a marketing thing. Yeah, sign me up. I'm convinced. So you've done your job here. But it's an ongoing process. It's a story to keep telling over and in different ways on different platforms so that you reach different audiences. Yeah, absolutely.
And we need to get some ambassador as well talking about that initiative. And I think consumers, they have a lot of curiosity. And once they are curious, then they are willing to take time to understand. And this is what I like.
Absolutely. Now, Veronique, you've previously said it is a dark night in Bordeaux because we have too much volume. Is the sun coming up yet, or is it still getting darker? And how does Fair Life help?
I will be very honest with you. It is still very challenging with significant overproduction and declining volume. And yes, in that context, we need also to reflect. We need to adapt. Bordeaux is traditionally known for complex red wine, but that no longer fully matches what many consumers are seeking. Recent study, we did some study as well with the CIVB. This study suggests growing demand for wine that are more approachable, with softer tannin, more fruitiness, and greater drinkability. White wine are also becoming more appealing to younger consumers because of their freshness and aromatic profile. So we need also to listen, being humble. Probably Bordeaux needs to change, not from one day to the other, but slowly, surely listening to our consumer and also moving to a quality that is addressing the consumer need. And you know what? Fair for Life will not bring the solution, but is probably also part of the solution. It is not because you will drop the price dramatically because you have too much volume, then you need to drop your price to get more volume and to get that volume out to the consumer. No, this is not sustainable. This is taking your quality down. We need to go to the other side. We need to understand what consumers are looking like, and we need to provide, to give to the consumer what they desire. And this is a work that we are going through together with Jérôme and his team. We listen to the consumer. We take also the climate change into consideration because this is also part of the game. Mm-hmm. So are we on the dark side, or are we seeing the light at the end of the tunnel? I'm quite positive. I'm looking to the light at the end of the tunnel, but we still have a lot of work. We need to take this with humility and taking seriously the consideration of the consumer, because this is what counts. He is the one who will drink the wine. And this young generation coming up, and I have young generation in my family as well, they're not looking at the wine like I do, like you do, like some great connoisseurs are doing. So we need to respect that.
Sure, they're looking for something that's, as they say, is crushable or sessionable. But that story, though, of Fair for Life is still part of that package that the younger generation really values as well. They want authenticity. They want to know where this comes from for any product they buy or consume. So this is, as you say, an important part of the package, the Fair for Life.
Yeah. I think Fair for Life is an immaterial value for our wines.
True.
With Fair for Life is interesting because we support curiosity, humility first, I think, because it's really challenging every year with working with the farmers to find the best way with the good cost, everything, and the good quality. But in addition, we have this curiosity, and as Veronique explained, we want to explore the future. We are looking at the high part, we are looking at the light. And we can imagine, and in the wine, we need to have many imagination, and we can imagine there is a light. And we are convinced, both with Veronique, but with all the team, there is a light somewhere, and we are in the good way to find this light.
I love that metaphor.
We are ready to fight.
Yeah, the light for vision and leadership and seeing the future, and the light, of course, for the vines themselves. Now, Veronique, with Gabriel and Company, you were the first Bordeaux branded wine to put the Orange Fair for Life logo on the front label first. What did that decision cost or earn you?
I think this decision to highlight this Fair for Life reflects the famous strong long-term commitment rather than a short-term gain. So Fair for Life is a kind of recognition of the journey that we are going through, because it has required significant investment from adapting agricultural practices to implementing a full audit process, supporting our wine grower in meeting high demand standards, quality standards. And with each audit, the level of requirements becomes even more strict, which pushes us, but also the entire value chain, to continuously improve. So we are here talking about continuous improvement through all the value chain. And I really love that label because it is demonstrating the strong commitment we have for the wine grower, for the community, but also for the future. And at the same time, it is strengthening our differentiation in the market. And this is then, for me, a kind of win-win situation. This is putting through the DNA of Mouton Cadet. It's all about sustainability and transparency.
Absolutely. And given the volume issue that you've mentioned, you do need to do things that differentiate and are authentic and have a great story. Now, Jérôme, Bordeaux is pulling up thousands of hectares of vines because of this overproduction. Does your model offer a way out for some of the wine growers? Are you looking at that aspect too, or does that come into your model at all?
Yes, it's a disaster because it's a part of a story of Bordeaux to have this vineyard, this fantastic vineyard around the city. But in our case, in our community, no one approves vines to kit. If we pull out some vines, it's because we have managed the vineyard to limit the risk because frost, because, climate problems. Our model is made to improve the management of the vineyard. And what we want is to have to work with wine growers resilient and viable. This is a key, resilient. If you are resilient and you have the capacity for farmers, which is important, is to produce quality and quantity every year. That's why we are working with this community to reduce the risk and to optimize the cost and to optimize the quality. But I think they are very resilient. A farmer is much resilient than many people.
They have to be. My goodness, if you're dealing with Mother Nature, you just realize that it's not a business for control freaks. You're going to have to roll with whatever nature gives you. So, Jérôme, 30% of your vineyards now are organic or in conversion to organic. What's a realistic target for that percentage, say in 5-10 years?
Today, I think that our aim target, if we can maintain 30%, I think is fine. After, the key is between our farmers is to exchange good practice. And step by step, our trajectory is no pesticide, is to work with mechanic cultivation, to have cover crops. And we are improving every year, step by step, perhaps not with a label, but to have an organic community. But this can be a long way because you have the technical part, you have the economic part, you have the transmission part for the properties, and it's a global view for each property with a singular process.
Now, Mouton Cadet phased out chemical weed killers completely from 2019 onward. What's replaced them in practice? Or is that the cover crops you're talking about? Or what's been the most effective?
Crops, red clover is beautiful. If you visit
red
the
clover
now, everything is red and it's fantastic. It's beautiful. But after you have all the new technical mechanic soil cultivation. And this is interesting too. And slowly exchanging the good practice and the experience, we are investing with our farmers to improve this part because our target is when you buy a bottle of Mouton Cadet and you analyze the bottle, you don't have pesticide inside the bottle. And this is more than unique, and I can say to you, it's a Veronique commitment to have 0 pesticide inside the bottle. When you open a bottle of Mouton Cadet, you don't have pesticide inside. I think
That's very
this
impressive.
is really important.
Absolutely.
It's
and now
impressive.
the 2023 vintage will carry the Fair for Life label. How does the 2023 wine differ in the glass from 2022?
The climate is king, but perhaps I think 22 is singing and 23 is dancing. We are making wine alive, and our target is to make vibrant, dynamic, and truly wine alive. This is super important. And with the team, because we are working with the team and the farmer, we want to catch the fruit during the harvest to have something really generous, impressive when you taste the wine. And always, as Veronique asked me to be elegant, drinkability, softness. This is a key because the new consumer doesn't want to drink old-style Bordeaux with many tannins and too dry, too
That's
bitter.
true. Yeah, the
It's
style is
tasting,
changing.
No?
Oh, yes, absolutely. All this talk about what does it taste like?
I am like you with a bottle.
Yes, so I have the bottle, which I've been showing and we'll put in the show notes for the logos, but I would love to hear from both of you what you get in the glass. Maybe Jérôme, you want to start? Wow,
First of all, when I'm tasting this wine, I have always a part of emotion. Because it's strong commitment. I'm thinking about our farmers, about the diversity of the territory of Bordeaux, and it's a lot of work. And after, if you smell this wine, we can see all
Really?
the expressive, the palette of
Yeah.
Bordeaux with the red fruit, the black fruit, the spicy. It's attractive.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. It's so alive.
Yeah, and you have this
Wow.
freshness. You
Very
don't have
fresh.
too much tannin, but you have this freshness.
Oh, yeah.
And
Makes
I
me want
think
to
this is the
eat.
key. If you want to drink again, you need to have this freshness.
Yes.
We work with different, we have farmers with clay soil, gravel soil, limestone soil.
Right.
And all during the blending is really interesting because we are working to find the good balance between freshness, texture, structure, and drinkability.
I know
I'm
freshness.
sure Veronique want to drink a glass now.
You know what? I forgot my glass of wine. So
that's okay. I'm sure you've tried this one before, though.
But Jérôme is talking about his experience in a glass much better than I could do. And what I love is when he said 22 was dancing and 23 is singing. This is absolutely enjoyable.
This is so good. The wine, like some people think, what does fresh mean? I get what you're saying, but it is just so alive. It makes your mouth water. The fruit is not heavy or dry. It's just joyously ripe. But it's not a fruit bomb. It's still got that elegance, and the length goes on and on. So you've got a really well-made wine that still, I think, is what people are looking for. Very modern style, very crushable, sessionable. It's all those things. But it also, to me, says, get me some food, because I think this would be marvelous with food. Do you have some food pairings?
With cheese, for sure. There is many pairing, but if you want
so good.
You can have the pairing with the food, but you can taste this wine if you want to discuss with your best friend and to change the world. It's the perfect bottle.
To change
After
the world.
First bottle, you change the world.
Pairs well with plans for world domination, or change the world.
You can reimagine everything and fair for life everywhere in many companies. It's interesting.
Yeah.
We know
those are great tasting notes.
Wine, it's important to have a smile.
Yes, absolutely. It just feels alive. Like, I know these are seemingly abstract terms, but I think you really have to taste it to get what we're saying, if you haven't before. But it's just so lively. Yes, fresh, but it's got this length on it, and it's just so juicy. It makes you just want to go back to the glass again and again. It's like,
cool.
More. Tasting note, more.
No, I'm very jealous because I don't have my glass of wine now.
We know you've tried it at least a couple times before, Veronique, so we know you know what we're saying here. But Veronique, if you had to put one sentence on the back label about what Fair for Life means for Mouton Cadet, what do you think you would say or put?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, Fair for Life is not just a label. I think it's a philosophy. It's a way of living. It's a way of working. It is our commitment to build a more human Bordeaux, where every decision we make honors the people behind the wine, the land they cultivate, and the future we chose to shape together. It's a beautiful story. And this is my promise to you. This is the Mouton Cadet experience.
Oh, wow. Beautifully put. A more human Bordeaux. That's poetic. I love it. Oh, wow. Okay. I think this is a good place to wrap up. But let me ask you both, is there anything we haven't covered that you wanted to mention as we bring the conversation to a close?
No, I think it was a nice discussion. So thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I think there is a special link between Canadian people and the Mouton Cadet. It's a long story, actually.
It is.
1954 and 1962.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's already a long story. And my wish is that we can permanently seduce the Canadian consumer, because you always have to question yourself and nothing is granted. So thank you. Thank you for drinking Mouton Cadet, because you're making the life of wine growers better and you participate to a beautiful story.
It is our pleasure to drink this. Thank you both for making it. And it's always great to talk to a producer who is doing things at scale, showing the leadership, showing what can be done in the industry while still staying true to their roots, if you will, and producing a terrific wine that is keeping that human element involved.
Thank
So
you.
we'll raise my glass to you
Thank
both.
you.
Cheers. Right? Absolutely. So I will say goodbye for now, but the next time has to be in person with this wonderful wine, please.
In the vineyards.
Yes, in the
You
vineyards.
should come and
Absolutely.
visit with us our family of wine growers.
Yes.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
That's
would be
a
terrific.
great experience. Absolutely. And we have even more story to tell. But if you live the story with us, then you're part of the family.
That sounds great. All right. Let's make
Good.
plans.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Veronique, Jérôme. This has been marvelous. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed our chat with Veronique and Jérôme. Here are my takeaways. Number 1, can Bordeaux adapt to changing tastes without losing its identity? As Veronique noted, it's a dark night in Bordeaux because they have too much volume. As she explains, it's still very challenging with significant overproduction and declining volume of sales. In that context, she says Bordeaux needs to reflect and adapt. It's traditionally known for complex red wine, but that no longer fully matches what many consumers are seeking according to a recent survey they did. There's now growing demand for wines that are more approachable, softer tannins, fruitier, and greater drinkability. White wine is also becoming far more appealing to younger consumers because of its freshness and aromatic profile. So, she says, Bordeaux needs to be humble, to listen and change. Fare for Life is not the entire solution, but it's part of it. Number 2, how are modern Bordeaux producers like Mouton Cadet creating wines with more energy, smoothness, and drinkability for today's consumers? As Jérôme explains, the climate is king, but he characterizes the 2022 vintage as singing and 2023 as dancing. He says we're making wine alive, and our target is to make great, vibrant, dynamic wine. This is very important because both the winery and the farmers want to catch the fruit during the harvest to have something really generous that you perceive when you smell and taste it. This is key because the new consumer doesn't want to drink old-style Bordeaux that is tannic and too dry. And number 3, Bordeaux is pulling up thousands of acres of vines because of overproduction. Jérôme explains if we pull out the vines, it's because we have managed the vineyard to the limit of risk due to frost and climate problems. The model is made to improve the management of the vineyard, and the key is resilience. If you are resilient, you have the capacity to produce both quality and quantity every year. And he adds, farmers are much more resilient than many people you know. If you missed episode 181, go back and have a listen. I chat about Bordeaux wines with Lori Budd. I'll share a short clip with you now to whet your appetite. You were in Bordeaux. You participated in the en primeur tasting.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You get to taste the wine that is bottled from barrel, and you're tasting the wines prior to their release. All of these premier tasters are there, and they rate the wines. This is what allows them to determine what price point they will do. And it also allows them to sell the wine before it's even released, which is
brilliant marketing. It's kind of like a futures market.
Exactly. It's the original futures market is what it is.
Do you know someone who'd be interested in learning more about Mouton Cadet's leadership with the Fare for Life program? Please let them know about this podcast. Email or text them now while you're thinking about it. It's really easy to find the Unreserved Wine Talk podcast. Just tell them to search for that title or my name, Natalie McLean Wine, on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, their favorite podcast app, or they can listen to the show on my website at nataliemclean.com/podcast. Email me if you have a sip, tip, question, or would like to win one of 6 drink books I have to give away. I'd also love to hear your thoughts on this episode, or if you've read my books or are listening to them, email me at natalie@nataliemclean.com. In the show notes, you'll find a link to take a free online food and wine pairing class with me called the 5 Wine and Food Pairing Mistakes that can ruin your dinner and how to fix them forever at nataliemclean.com/class. And that's all in the show notes at nataliemclean.com/396. Thank you for taking the time to join me here. I hope something great is in your glass this week. Perhaps Mouton Cadet Rouge with your favorite organic, sustainable dish. You don't want to miss one juicy episode of this podcast, especially the secret, full-bodied bonus episodes that I don't announce on social media. So subscribe for free now at nataliemclean.com/subscribe. Meet me here next week. Cheers.